They say deja vu is the brain's way of glitching, your mind misplacing a new memory in the wrong drawer, making you feel like you've lived a moment before. But what if it's not a glitch? What if it's a warning? Elena Miles used to laugh it off, just a quirk of the brain, like hiccups or sneezing with your eyes closed, until the dreams came. And then the bodies. It started on a Thursday night. The wind in hollow pines howled like it had lungs. Elena had just moved into the old Ashcroft house, a gothic beast of a building buried in the woods, cheap because the town swore it was bad luck. But Elena didn't believe in ghosts. She believed in logic. Dead things stayed dead. Or they were supposed to. That night, she had a dream. She stood in the hallway of her new house, staring at the old grandfather clock that hadn't worked since she moved in. It struck 13 times, impossible, and each chime made her bones vibrate. She turned to run, but the hallway stretched, bending like warm taffy. And at the end of it stood herself. Pale, hollow-eyed, bleeding from the scalp, grinning with too many teeth. The other Elena whispered, "You never make it past 13. She woke up screaming. The next day, Elena brushed it off. Stress, new house jitters, too much coffee. But around noon, she heard a sound from the hallway. Chime. She froze. The clock, dead for weeks, struck once, then twice, then a third time. She checked the time. 1:13 p.m. Her hands were shaking. That night, the dream came again. Same hallway, same impossible chimes. But this time, the other Elena was closer. Second time, it said, "You still remember. That's new." Elena tried to scream, but her throat filled with thick black water. She drowned in silence. By the sixth dream, she started writing them down, every detail. She tried to avoid anything that had happened in them, turning left at a hallway, answering the phone at 1:13, looking in the mirror when she felt a chill. But no matter what she did, the events played out anyway. People started dying. Her neighbor, Mr. Harper, an old man with a cane and a kind smile, waved at her one morning. That night, she dreamed of him screaming behind her walls. The next day, the police found him bricked into his own basement, claw marks on the inside of the concrete. The detective on the case looked pale. "Third one this week," he said. "All of them with clocks stopped at 1:13. Elena couldn't speak. She went home, burned her dream journal. It didn't help. By the 9th night, the other Elena stood only inches from her. "You're close now," it rasped, voice like wind through dead leaves. "You always get close, but you never remember the end." Elena begged, "What happens at 13? The dream." Elena leaned in, her breath cold and rancid. 13's when you become me." She stopped sleeping, swallowed caffeine pills, taped her eyes open, but reality and dreams started to blur. Sometimes she'd blink and find herself in the hallway without moving. The house would groan like it was laughing at her. Shadows moved behind her eyes. And sometimes the reflection in the mirror blinked late. By the 12th dream, she couldn't tell which side of the mirror she was on anymore. The dream. Elena no longer looked dead. She looked alive, like Elena. But Elena was starting to feel like the ghost. The 13th night came. She tried everything, salt lines, candles, even called a priest who refused to enter the property. "This house isn't haunted," he told her, trembling. "You are." She passed out at 1:06 a.m. The dream didn't end when Elena woke up, because she didn't wake up. Not this time. She opened her eyes to the same hallway, the same stretching walls, the same suffocating darkness, except now the floor was warm beneath her bare feet, breathing almost. The chimes started again. 1, 2, 3. She tried to scream, but her mouth wouldn't open. 10, 11, 12, and then 13. The grandfather clock split open down the middle with a thunderous crack, like a ribcage being torn apart. And from inside, she stepped out. Not the ghost Elena, not the dream version, but something older, something wearing her face like a mask. Its eyes were endless black pits, its mouth stretched open far too wide, revealing a second row of teeth, and then a third. It didn't speak this time. It just opened its arms. Elena couldn't move. Her body was no longer hers. Her feet stepped forward on their own. Closer, closer. As their bodies touched, the figure leaned in and whispered, not into her ears, but into her mind. You were always me. This was never your dream. It was your turn. And then, silence. The next morning, the townsfolk of Hollow Pines saw lights in the windows of Ashcroft House for the first time in weeks. A woman stood at the window. She looked like Elena, moved like her, smiled like her. But when Mr. Grady from down the road waved to her, she didn't blink, just stared, smiling. The house had a new tenant. No one remembered her moving in. No one remembered Elena. And that night, at exactly 1:13 a.m., the grandfather clock chimed once. Elena Miles was reported missing 13 days after moving into Ashcroft House. Police found her journal beneath the floorboards, full of panicked writing. Every page ended the same way. She's almost here. She's almost me. She's already you. Elliot first noticed the sensation on a Tuesday. He was crossing Maple Street when a man in a red hoodie stumbled off the curb, cursing under his breath. Nothing strange, except Elliot swore he had seen that exact stumble before. Same street, same man, same curse. The déjà vu made him dizzy. He shook it off and hurried home. That night, he dreamed of standing in a long, dimly lit hallway. At the end stood a woman in a black dress, her hair covering her face. She didn't move, but he felt her stare. When Elliot woke, the clock read 3:17 a.m. The next day, the same man tripped on the same curb. The same oranges spilled from the same woman's grocery bag. The same bus broke down at the same intersection. Elliot whispered, "Not again." At night, the dream returned. The hallway stretched longer. The woman was closer, still silent, still waiting. And when he woke 3:17 a.m., his phone buzzed with an unknown number. He answered. Static hissed, then a voice, his own voice. "Don't let her in." By Thursday, the world felt like a loop. Elliot tried to break it, left work early, avoided Maple Street, skipped the coffee shop. But no matter what, everything folded back into place. The oranges spilled. The bus broke down. The same stranger brushed against his shoulder and muttered the same apology. And that night, he woke to the sound of footsteps in his apartment. The clock, 3:17 a.m. He froze. He could feel her, in the corner of his room, watching. His reflection in the mirror turned its head before he did, smiling faintly. Friday night, Elliot didn't fight sleep. He wanted to confront her. The dream came, the hallway again, endless, the woman waiting at the far end. He stepped forward. The lights above flickered out one by one as he walked, closer, closer. Her head tilted, a sharp cracking sound. "You've done this before," she whispered, though her lips never moved. "You've done this so many times you've forgotten how it ends." Elliot shook his head. "What are you?" Her smile stretched too wide, teeth glinting in the dark. "I'm what waits at 3:17. Elliot woke, gasping. The clock glowed, 3:17 a.m. The woman was no longer in his dreams. She was standing at the foot of his bed. Her face was pale, her eyes pits of shadow. Her voice, layered, his own, hers, dozens of voices at once whispered, "You always wake up, you always run, but this is the last time." The lights blew out. His phone buzzed. He didn't dare answer. Elliot screamed, leapt from bed, ran for the door, and found himself in the hallway, the dream hallway. Only this time, there was no end, just walls stretching into infinity. Behind him, footsteps, slow, heavy. He turned. The woman was walking toward him, her grin splitting her face in two. He ran. The hallway bent, twisted, folded back on itself. No doors, no exits, only 3:17 a.m. blinking red on every wall, every ceiling, every floor. The footsteps grew louder, closer, echoing inside his skull. "Why me?" Elliot sobbed. She reached out, her hand ice cold as it brushed his face. Her voice was a breath at his ear. "Because you're already dead." Morning. The alarm blares. The sun shines through the blinds. Elliot's neighbors see him leave for work, just as he does every morning. Red hoodie, coffee in hand, faint smile on his lips. But his eyes are all wrong. They're bottomless black. The world carries on, looping unaware. And at 3:17 a.m., someone else will wake to footsteps in the dark.